all very much. Good morning. On behalf of the Friends of Woburn Veterans, welcome to the dedication of Flagpole Park at Staff Sergeant John M. Ferullo Field. My name is Kathy Lucero, and I'm honored to be part of this dedication as a member of the Friends of Woburn Veterans. And I'm very proud as the niece of Sergeant Jackie Ferullo. Thank you. Since 1640, when Woburn was first settled as a part of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, our citizens have answered the call to duty to protect our freedoms for over 377 years, and still do to this day in places all over the world. We must never forget this. The Friends of Woburn Veterans, as a private nonprofit organization, has as their mission to restore, repair, and establish military memorials in Woburn, so that future generations will be reminded of the service and sacrifice that have been made by our men and women in the military. Through private and corporate donations and grants, we have raised over $1 million that has been put towards veterans' memorials. Such as the honor roll on Woburn Common, thanks to the generosity of Kathy and John Flaherty at almost $700,000. Over 13,000 veterans, by the way, names are on that wall from Woburn from 1640 to current day. The restoration of the USS Maine ventilator cowl, the Dallin sculpture at Woodbrook Cemetery, flagpoles at Hon Pond and Gonzalez Field, and now the flagpole park here at Ferullo Field. At this time, I would like to introduce the committee members of the Friends of Woburn Veterans. First of all, through his leadership and hard work, he has made this project possible. Chairman Larry Guiseppe, U.S. Marine Corps. Jerry Buckley, U.S. Navy. There's 17 of us. Mark Camaro. You can hold it till the end. Yeah. Thank you anyway. Mark Camaro, U.S. Navy. Charles Culhane, U.S. Army. Al DePauli, U.S. Marine Corps. Jerry Langone, U.S. Army. Tom Martin, U.S. Army. Mike McDonough, U.S. Army. Mike McGann, U.S. Marine Corps, World War II, our oldest member. And this year is his 80th, it was 80 years ago this year that he was president of the class of 1939 at Woburn High School. Woo! James McLaughlin, U.S. Army. Dominic Donegri, U.S. Army. George Poole, U.S. Army. Greg Post, U.S. Army. Tom Quigley, U.S. Marine Corps. Chris Wackrow, U.S. Army. And the civilians, John Flaherty, Richard Gately, Bob Shore, and a special, very special thank you to Donna Casham, who worked with Larry and assisted him in this program, and myself. Thank you very much for the thanks. At this time, Father Richard Clancy of Woburn will offer benediction.
Thank you very much. I always say that one of the things about getting older is that you know the people that they're naming the buildings and the memorials for. And it's so important that we keep that alive with our young people, that these are not just names on a board or names on a wall, but people who are great people and whom we owe so much to and must always be remembered. I also just wanted to say before the ceremony that I put holy water on all of the markers and benches so that when I do the blessing, that will be included. Heavenly Father, with grateful hearts this morning, as we remember, honor, and give thanks for the sacrifice of John Ferullo, his family, all of the veterans honored so beautifully in this flagpole place and park, and all of our veterans living and deceased, who have selflessly served in order that we may be free. We owe them all a debt that can never be repaid, but we seek to honor them through our memory and by living lives that honor the principles that make our country great. Heavenly Father, maker and lover of all, we ask you to bless the people of Woburn, bless these flagpoles and flags, and may they always remind us of the principles which they stand. Help us to work together in peace, so that we may give you glory by our lives. We ask this grace, loving Father, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
It is my pleasure now to introduce the Governor of the Commonwealth, Charlie Baker.
Well, good morning, and first of all, I just want to thank the Friends of Woburn Veterans for the incredible job they did here. And I want to thank all of you for coming out this morning. We always talk about never forget, but one of the ways you demonstrate never forget is by showing up. And the fact that so many people came out this morning to honor and recognize and say thank you to all those from Woburn who've served our country, and especially the Ferullo family. We are all indebted to you for being here. Now, one of the things that we in public life get to do is attend a lot of events, especially this time of year and in the spring, to celebrate and honor veterans and those who have paid the ultimate price. And while the ceremonies tend to run with a pretty similar clock attached to them, one of the things you learn in this job is that even though those events seem kind of the same from one to the next, they all involve individuals and families who lived very individual and particular lives, and for a whole series of reasons decided to serve, and in some cases made that sacrifice. It was an individual choice. They stepped up. They wanted to be part of something bigger. They wanted to give back to their community. They had friends who were serving. Their dad served, their mother served, their sister, their brother. It was just something they wanted to do from the time they were little. The list goes on and on and on about why. But in the end, the gift they gave to all of us was our freedom and our democracy. And I've come to the conclusion, having been to many of these events and had a chance to talk to many veterans and to many families of veterans, that on some level the why part, while it's hugely important to that person and to that family about why they decided to serve, the thing we all need to remember, most of all, is that we have what we have because of them. And whether it's this flagpole or those benches or the memorials that exist all over the Commonwealth or the streetscapes and the intersections and the special memorials that exist, they are all there to remind us that what we have, the freedoms we have, the opportunities we have, the chance to be who we are and what we want to be, we owe to those names for whatever reason they chose to serve. And it's days like this, events like this, memorials like this, that give us our chance to be reminded, and especially to say thank you and God bless you. And God bless all of you for the work that you did here on this memorial, which will stand for decades as a reminder of why we all benefit from service, sacrifice, and freedom. Thank you.
You can sit. We stole those chairs for you. I would now like to welcome to the podium Mayor Scott Galvin.
Welcome, everybody. Just before we start, if you read the papers, you listen to the news, you can't help but hear about all the madness and craziness that goes on down in Washington. Well, on the local level, we're extremely fortunate to have such a great governor like Governor Baker, a Republican governor who's able to work well with a state-run legislature that's primarily Democratic. Rich Haggerty, they work very well together. They get things done. They reach across the aisle. They put aside differences, and they make a real difference in the state. On the city level, the collaboration between my office, city council, school committees never been stronger. We get things done. It shows in the community. Today we're here to recognize what really makes a community strong, and that's groups like the Friends of Woburn Veterans, the Lions Club, the Kiwanis Club. They get things done. They make a strong community. So when you look around in our city, the veterans, we take great pride in our veterans, and they deserve it. They've allowed us to come together today, celebrate all the liberties that we so often take for granted. We're here today gathering. If it weren't for the veterans, the sacrifices they made, the sacrifices their families made, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing here today. So we have these beautiful monuments all across the city, as Kathy pointed out earlier, through John Flaherty's generosity. We have a beautiful monument that Bob Shore put together for us down on the Common that recognizes all of the people who served our country. And today, we have this beautiful monument that will last forever, and it'll serve North Woburn and the whole city. We can look at it in pride. So thank you to the Friends of Woburn Veterans, Larry, everything you've done in your group. No city money involved, no state money involved, no federal money involved. They raised every penny for this project through donors throughout the city. We have generous people who always come together for great causes. But you guys led the charge. It's going to be a great monument. Thank you very much. And I know Larry's going to recognize all the people who helped, but I'd like to recognize a very good friend of mine, Dean Mazzarella. You see the flagpoles out here. Every flagpole across the state, if you see and Dean's right back in the back there. Dean's also the mayor of Leominster, former police officer. But if you see a big flagpole, give Dean a great round of applause, Dean. If you see flagpoles across the state that are massive flagpoles, a good chance he did it. So Dean, thank you very much. And I know, Larry, you're going to recognize everybody else. But enjoy the day. This is a fantastic monument. Thank you for being here.
Our next guest is State Representative Richard Haggerty.
Thank you, Kathy, and of course, thank everybody for being here this morning. Before I begin, I want to recognize a couple of people. First, of course, my partners in the state delegation. We have Senator Sidney Friedman over here, as well as Representative Michelle Socolo, who represents Wards 1 and 7. They're great partners in the legislature, and they're doing great work for our community. I want to recognize former State Representative Jim Dwyer is in the audience today for his service to our community. Also, former State Representative Carol Donovan, who's joined us today as well. Thank you, Governor Baker, for being here this morning. You're a great partner on Beacon Hill, and of course, everybody's efforts throughout the community to make today possible. And for joining us today. What a great turnout. This is amazing. This speaks volumes about our community and about what we do to recognize veterans. From the trenches of Western Europe to the freezing swamps of Vietnam, to the mountains of Korea, to the deserts of the Middle East, the men and women of the armed forces who hail from Woburn have served this nation with dignity and courage. To those of you who may have had a family member who made the ultimate sacrifice, you should know that they did so that all of us could enjoy the freedoms that we have today. It's because of them that we are safe and live in a civilized society that continues to advance to new heights. The pride the city has for its veterans and those still serving is profound. And if you ever wonder, then you don't have to look very far. Look today to who have showed up to honor their service. Take a look around our community, to places like Weefa Park or the Ned O'Brien Ice Rink, or of course Ferullo Field. Take a look at the honor roll on Woburn Common or Foley Beach. We recognize and honor all those who have served our country throughout the decades. So for me to be able to be here today to join you in honoring again in such an amazing way is just really special for me. To be able to congratulate the Friends of Woburn Veterans for their continued commitment to this community, to their incredible work to make today possible is really special. I'd like to thank the Mayor Galvin as well as the City Council for their leadership as well in our community. And lastly, I just want to thank you all for being here and for being a part of such a special day. Thank you so much.
Oh, I have them in the schedule. Once a Marine, always a Marine. That's what my father would say. Right now, I'd love you to introduce someone that you maybe do not know. I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of years ago when I was on the World War I State Commission to celebrate the centennial of World War I. I'm very happy to have with us today Francesco Urena. Francesco is the Massachusetts Secretary of Veterans Affairs.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, and good morning, Woburn. What a privilege it is to be here. Governor Baker, Mayor Galvin, members of the Great and General Court, Mayor Mazzarella, and so many. But let's give a great round of applause, and if you can't stand, if you can't raise your hand, let's recognize our great veterans of Woburn and beyond who are here. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you. And in that same spirit, let us recognize our Gold Star families. If you have lost a loved one in service to our country, please, thank you. This great Commonwealth is a great place for veterans. It houses, is home to 365,000 veterans and their families, and we're so very proud of the great work that goes on to recognize them. But it happens in cities and towns, places like Woburn today, and across this great country, where we stand as neighbors, as friends, recognizing the sacrifice of those who have gone before us, those who perhaps at one point were missing in action, like Staff Sergeant John Jack Ferullo. You see, in 1943, he perished, and for a time, he was missing. You know the story. Some of you all are related. But let me tell you about another young man who a month later, his plane crashed over Europe. His remains were never recovered. He is part of the 83,000 Americans which, when we raise that flag, that black and white POW missing in action flag, his memory stand. 83,000. And let's place that into perspective of what that means, like the population of Burlington, Reading, and Woburn. And that silence and that emptiness is the same silence and emptiness that so many families who are related to those 83,000 feel. And here in Massachusetts, 2,995 service members are part of that number. Part of that number who at one point John Ferullo was part of. Part of that number that this young man, First Lieutenant Joseph Finneran of West Roxbury, his remains arrived to Massachusetts yesterday. He'll be interred in West Roxbury this weekend, and we look forward to ensuring that the hope that his family received, that the hope that so many other families have, that their loved ones will come home. You know, the pride that you all have as a town when you raise these flags today is an opportunity to educate future generations, not only about what the Marine Corps, Army, Navy, Coast Guard, and Air Force flags are about, not only about that proud American flag that will hail in Ferullo Park, but also the meaning of the prisoner of war flag missing in action, that it's not just threads and materials, that it is an opportunity for us to be accountable to them in their search, and that they too may come home. In this month, the month of Veterans Month, which we are now embarking upon, we travel across the state thanking all those who have served. You know, at the end of this month, we'll also celebrate Thanksgiving among family and friends. We'll be thankful for so many things that we have, and perhaps it's because of their sacrifice that we have the ability to do so. Thank you so very much. God bless you, and congratulations, Woburn, on setting a great example. Thank you.
At this time, Charlie Culhane will read a letter from General Mark A. Miley, a proud Winchester veteran who is currently the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who sends his greetings on this special occasion. Charlie?
Good morning. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Washington, D.C. Veterans Flag Memorial Dedication Ceremony, 2 November 2019. It is an honor to send greetings to the citizens of Woburn, to Massachusetts, on the dedication of the Veterans Flag Memorial. This occasion reflects the proud tradition of military service and the strong support of our veterans in Massachusetts. The Veterans Flag Memorial offers a place to pause and remember the millions who have stood and are standing in defense of our country. As we reflect on the extra courage and sacrifice, I am proud to tell you today, service members around the globe are carrying on the legacy of professionalism and discipline as they advance in the cause of peace and to protect the values we treasure. I also want to thank each family member for keeping the home fires burning. Your strength, spirit of community, and commitment is inspirational. Friends of Woburn veterans, your continued support of veterans is inspiring and critical. Thank you for remembering the patriots of Massachusetts and reviewing your commitment to their families that we will never forget. May God continue to bless you, our service members and their families, and our great nation. Sincerely, Mark A. Miley, General, U.S. Army.
At this time, I would like to introduce Larry Guiseppe, but before I do that, he's going to speak about the project and the details that went into it, because it was a vast project and he worked extremely hard along with Donna. But for those who don't know, we are classmates since first grade at St. Charles, and maybe that's something we don't want to hang our hat on, I don't know. But we just celebrated our 50th high school reunion last year, and we honored our Vietnam veterans. But among them was, of course, Larry, who led the charge. For those who don't know, he's in the U.S. Marine Corps. He served 22 active months in Vietnam, and he's a recipient of the Purple Heart. Larry Guiseppe.
Kathy did not mention the 7 times she turned me down when I asked her to the prom. Thank you all for being here today. The Friends of Woburn Veterans Committee is extremely proud to be able to gift this, the flagpole park at Sergeant John Ferullo Field, to the people of the city of Woburn. Our committee started working on this flagpole park 3 years ago. We looked at different sites in Woburn, the west side, North Woburn, East Woburn, and we felt that this was the best area for this project, and I think you'll agree it fits here perfectly. We then went off and applied for and received a $100,000 grant from the Cummings Foundation. When we first started, we thought that would be plenty of money, but unfortunately it wasn't. I sat down with Greg Ream of our engineering department, and we did a sketch of the park, and it's exactly what the sketch looked like. After meeting with the mayor, the city council, the conservation department, the recreation department, the park department, the inspectional services, DPW, I had to go through all of the same processes that everybody, John, you know as well as I do, Mr. Flaherty. I had to go through all of the same processes everyone else would have to go to get something done in the city of Woburn. But I did not encounter one objection, there were no bumps in the road. The city council and everyone involved in the mayor helped us out, and we greatly appreciate it. What you see today is we started just about 8 months ago. A great, mostly volunteers and workers and supporters to bring this beautiful project to the city of Woburn, especially those in the North Woburn area. The Friends of Woburn Veterans were able to complete this $240,000 project through donations from friends and businesses throughout our city and beyond. The entire project was funded through dedication and donations to the Friends of Woburn Veterans. I would like to thank the following people that made this possible. Special thanks to Mayor Scott Galvin, our City Council, the Engineering Department, the Rec Commission and Parks Department, Inspectional Services, and Woburn Public Works. And thank you, Lenny Berman, who was here today, who put in a lot of extra early mornings and weekends. I want to thank our contractors who dedicated most all of their labor to getting this project done. Coster & Sons Construction, Richie Coster, Quinn Electric, Mark Quinn. And Mark had his 2 children here working with him right up until the day that his oldest daughter left for boot camp in the Air Force, and she is down at Lackland in Texas right now in boot camp. She worked on the project for us. Kenton Landscaping, Clark and his son Joe did all of the pavers and most all of the landscaping. My best friend in the whole world, Bob Shore, who has been a supervisor for all of the veterans projects throughout Woburn, really engineered and masterminded this project. We appreciate it. And Heimlich Landscaping donated the hydroseeding. So it was a group of people that got together. It was a group of people that volunteered their time and effort to help us put this together. We appreciate it. I want to thank Dean Mazzarella. I know he's out there. Again, he's the mayor of Leominster. His town supports the Department of Veterans Services training every year, and we appreciate that very much. I want to thank U.S. Pavement Services, Inc. They supported and providing the funds for the cookout. I want to thank the Woburn Host Lions Club and the Woburn Kiwanis Club. They also have hosted and donated the food that you'll be enjoying this afternoon. We did need a couple of key contributors to make sure that this project got done. I want to thank the Cummings Foundation, Bill and Joyce Cummings. They gave us the $100,000 shot in the arm that we needed to get this going. I want to thank again for all of the work that he's done in the city of Woburn, John and Kathy Flaherty. Key contributor was Leggett McCall, and Leggett McCall is the group of people that are going to be doing the Atlantic Gelatin site over. I also got a phone call from the Winchester Cooperative Bank when I first started this project, and they were, because of their new presence over the west side, they wanted to be a part of this project, so they are one of our key contributors, and we appreciate it. And again, U.S. Pavement Inc. Services as well. And in closing, I'd like to say there is one person here today that I'd like to give a special thank you to. She came all the way here, excuse me. She came here just to see me, and that's my brand new granddaughter, Victoria. Thank you for being here, and thank you. Enjoy the cookout, and thanks for your support.
Congratulations, Grandpa. At this time, I would love to recognize the Ferullo family. For those who don't know, Jackie Ferullo grew up here in North Woburn, and he's one of 8 children, and 3 of his siblings are still with us. My mother being one of them, Pauline Kelly, my uncle Bobby Ferullo, Dr. Ferullo, who could not be here today. And with us today, though, is my 96-year-old Aunt Mary, who just quit working at the Tid Home when they closed, is here. And raise your hand, Mary, because you're wonderful. And yeah, she's unbelievable. 6 children, a lot of cousins here. We have a lot of Ferullos here. Wave your hands, all the Ferullos. All my cousins, good to see you. We're putting a plug in for ourselves. My Aunt Mary and Jackie Ferullo graduated together in the class of 1940. And Jackie would then go off to war. All 5 brothers would serve in the military. So it's my pleasure now to have a family member, my cousin Mark Ferullo, come up and speak about my Uncle Jackie Ferullo.
Just look good. She was hoping the Foxwoods bus was going to get here any minute now. Thank you all. This was written by my father, Dr. Robert Ferullo, brother of John M. Ferullo. Regretfully, I am unable to attend today's special dedication ceremony. However, please permit me to express the deep appreciation of the Ferullo family, which includes the Mills family, the Kelly family, the Pike families, to all those responsible for bringing this majestic memorial celebration to fruition at the Staff Sergeant John M. Ferullo Field. John graduated from Woburn High School in 1940. He was captain of the baseball team. A talented artist, he was an interior decorator for many Woburn and Boston clothing stores. With the advent of World War II, he was drafted, attended flight school at Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida, and became a tail gunner. As such, he was flying his 13th mission over Sardinia, Italy, and was shot down by German gunfire and declared missing in action July 3rd, 1943, and declared killed in action a year later. His remains are interred at Jefferson Barracks in Missouri. Today's dedication is a splendid memorial of sacrifice, courage, and bravery of all men and women from Woburn who served their country, especially those who suffered the supreme sacrifice after one whom this field was named. These high-flying flags will symbolize battles and wars won, lives sacrificed in rugged landscape, beaches and mountains worldwide, from vast lands of Europe, Japan, Korea, the tropical lowlands and rolling hills of Vietnam, Desert Storm, Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, and elsewhere, where Woburn men and women defended their country, its democracy and freedom. To them, we shall be forever grateful as they are memorialized today. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. That's it for her. She's done. On behalf of the Cummings Foundation, whose grant, as was mentioned, greatly helped with this project, I would like to have a few comments made now by Robert Ferullo, Jr.
Thanks, Kathy. I'm here this morning on behalf of Bill and Joyce Cummings, who could not join us. As a member of the Cummings Foundation, I'm proud to represent Joyce and Bill Cummings, who are unable to be with us today at the dedication ceremonies of the Sergeant John M. Ferullo Park. The Cummings Foundation was honored to play a role in the creation of this beautiful memorial, honoring the nation's armed forces at Ferullo Field. The Joyce and Bill Cummings Foundation, for those who are not familiar, established a foundation in 1986. The couple decided they wanted to give back to the greater Boston area where their growing business operated and where its staff and clients lived. Over the years, Joyce and Bill Cummings have donated a large majority of their commercial property to the foundation, and today nearly all of the buildings managed by the Cummings properties are actually owned and operated by the sole benefit of the Cummings Foundation. Over the past decades, the Cummings Foundation has donated over $260 million in grants to Greater Boston nonprofits alone. Its giving is concentrated in Middlesex, Essex, and Suffolk counties and benefits a broad range of causes. Within Woburn, they have been a big part of Woburn-based organizations, including the Woburn Boys and Girls Club and the Woburn Police and Fire Departments, amongst many other social service agencies. On behalf of the Cummings Foundation and Joyce and Bill Cummings, thank you for allowing us to be part of this great day. Thank you.
Our next guest is City Council President from Ward 6, Alderman Mike Anderson.
Ward 4.
Put my glasses on, sorry.
What a wonderful day. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. The people that have gone before me have mentioned all the key people that were involved in this project and the foundations. But really, I want to extend my gratitude to Larry Guiseppe. You heard him speak. You heard all the people that have helped him with this project. But that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because everyone respects Larry and likes him, and all the other members of the Veterans Foundation. They're all leaders in our community. They're not leaders just because they serve. They're leaders because they're involved in their community. And they have done wonderful work for the city of Woburn. Throughout the city, we have wonderful monuments to our military, to our veterans, and that's to our living veterans, those who and also those who made the ultimate sacrifice. But remember, the ones who are living who did not make the ultimate sacrifice were prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice, which is incredible. And a lot of debt and gratitude goes to those members of the military who protect our freedoms. Every day I take my children to hockey, soccer, school. I think of the freedoms that we have that we take advantage of. Now we have a wonderful beacon here in North Woburn, a gateway to the city, and I hope everyone who goes by this will remember the sacrifices that were made for the freedoms that we often take advantage of and don't appreciate. I often think of this going back a little ways, but in 1939, Niall Kinnock won the Heisman Trophy, and in his award speech, he talked about how lucky he was to have been battling on the fields of the Midwest as opposed to the battlefields of Europe. And I think we all need to appreciate the opportunity to express our freedoms, to go about our daily lives, because we have people out there protecting us and doing the dirty work. Thank you, Larry Giuseppe. Thank you to the Woburn veterans. And thank you very much, Kathy. Have a great day.
At this time, I'd like to bring up Mike McDonough, who's on the committee, and Mike is going to announce each of the bench recognitions.
Good morning. The benches you see around you today have been donated by the following. In memory of Staff Sergeant John M. Ferullo, killed in action July 3rd, 1943, donated by the extended Ferullo family. Sergeant Anthony L. Langone, killed 15 September 1950, Korea, donated by Dan and Jerry Langone. In memory of John Jack Grammer, World War II, United States Army Sergeant, donated by his children. The Gately Nine, William Sr., William Jr., John, Tom, Richard, Paul, George, Daniel, and Jerome. Gifted by Richard, Danny, George, and Jerome Gately. Al DePauli, B Company, 1st of the 3rd Marines, Vietnam, 1967-68, courtesy of DePauli family. Paul J. Meany Sr., USS Nautilus, 521, 1959-1960, donated by the Meany family. In memory of Frank A. Santo, United States Navy, Korea, donated by the Santo family. Our hero, Charlie McSheffrey, it takes only one to hit, the McSheffrey family. In memory of William Joseph Santry, United States Air Force, Airman First Class, gift of the Santry family. Thomas Robert Foster, U.S. Navy, Vietnam, gifted by Matthew and David Cashian. Dedicated to Edward J. Corsetti, World War II, United States Army, dedicated by the O'Connor family. God Bless All That Served, donated by the Disabled American Veterans, Woburn Chapter 88. Dedicated to all military members of the Woburn Police Department. A gift of the Woburn Police Superior Officers Association, Woburn Police Patrol Association. Honoring veterans, past, present, and future, donated by Woburn Stoneham Elks 908. In honor of the Bellisferi family members that served our country, donated by the Bellisferi family. Dedicated to the memory of military members of the Woburn Fire Department, past, present, and future, donated by the military veterans of the Woburn Fire Department. Thank you.
At this time, we will start the ceremony of raising of the flags. Color guards to the ready.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, where so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Excellent. Great job. Excellent. I think we're waiting for the flyover. Okay, we're almost at the close of our ceremony. The flags look beautiful, don't they? Wow. Thank you to all of those who served in the color guard today. Thank you very much. We'd like to do another special thank you to the sponsors of the cookout. We'd love you to stay and join. They've worked very hard. The U.S. Pavement, Inc., and who is a cookout sponsor, the Woburn Host Lions, and the Woburn Kiwanis. As we're waiting, I am going to do the closing remarks so that you can all get to eat something and enjoy, and then you can watch the flyover maybe. On behalf of the Friends of Woburn Veterans, we want to express our sincere thanks and appreciation to Governor Baker and Secretary Urena for being here today, and Mayor Galvin, and all of our wonderful speakers today for making this a memorable dedication. May we all remember that our flag does not fly because the wind moves it. It flies with the last breath of each soldier who died protecting it. To all you who have served and put their lives on the line in defense of our freedom, thank you. And thank you all very much for coming here today and your support for our organization. Thank you.